Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be telling the story about how I found out my ex cheated on me. So this all happens between May of 2022 to June of 2022. So start off with my ex. We're gonna just name him Michael for this video. So Michael and I met through Snapchat. He ended up adding me on Snapchat and he asked me out, and I agreed. So we go on our first date around 3 days later, which was just dinner and a movie, which was fine. It went well. We spent about 4 to 5 hours with dinner and movie. I got home like close to 12 a.m. Like it was a good date. Obviously, I wouldn't go on a date with him now because he's a cheater. Anyways, fast forward about 3 or 3 days later, here we go on a second date. This is where everything starts going downfall before we even start going out. Okay, so he picks me up and we just go out, drive around, have a good time. Now, it starts getting close to like 11:30, 11:45 p.m. at night, and I was going through a lot at this time. Like, I was really struggling, and I didn't really have anyone there for me at the time. I didn't really tell anyone what was going on, to be honest. And he unfortunately had to witness me have a panic attack. Now, at the time, I really did not want to go home. I couldn't force myself to because I was having such a bad panic attack. I just couldn't. So we drive around for about 15 minutes before he pulls over, and he ended up asking his uncle who he lived with at the time, because he was 18, I was 17. He asked his uncle, hey, this girl has nowhere, it's too late for her to go home because she takes for the night. And his uncle was like, that's fine, all right, cool. So we go over to his place. Like, I'm calmed down now, I'm calmed down. And we go over back to his place. Now, he lives in a trailer. There was 2 bedrooms, a bath, and like a little washing area. And they had a little living room, kitchen, obviously. So we go over and he just tells his uncle that, it was just too late for me to go home and I was locked out. His uncle says, been there, done that, right? Whatever. So I spend the night with him. We just sleep in the same bed. And then the next morning, stuff kind of hits the fan because it's more of a personal thing. I don't really want to talk about it right now. All right, so after that, I'm forcefully taken back to my house, which I didn't want to be at the time. And I remember being so unapologetic to him. Like, I was apologizing so hard to him, and I was like, I am so sorry, I'm so sorry, I don't understand, you don't want to see me, I'm so sorry. He's like, it's fine, it's out of your control, you can just spend your time here, maybe whenever you can, just kind of, help out, maybe get you out. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine, all right, cool. So fast forward to that weekend, which was, I think, about 4 to 5 days later, and I'm spending the first weekend. And we were dating at this time, right? After this kind of big incident happened, we started dating, right? Right, we're dating now. It's our first week dating, and I spend the weekend with him first. We spend a lot of time together, and during this time, the past comes up in conversation. And the first red flag I should have noticed is how he talked about his ex. He talked about his ex in a positive way, like he still kind of was in love with her and liked her a lot, and, just a way of like, you can tell someone's not over their past lover, past relationship, whatever. And I, at the time, was thinking, oh, just look at the past and kind of regrets what happened, which was my case with my first love. I'm like, there's no cheating involved. My first love, we never dated. It was just kind of more, yeah. So I was wrong, and this is the first red flag I should have noticed. All right, we spent a lot of time together, right? I go home around close to whatever that weekend was. The second weekend, we were going to a party that weekend, and he was one of the hosts. So I go with him to said party to host. And it was this night of the party. We're about 2 weeks dating now. And during this party, someone had a gun, unfortunately, and I didn't know that. So I was standing in a gun shop like this close to me, and I screamed. And then Michael at the time did nothing. Like, he didn't do anything. Like, I screamed, I was looking at him, he didn't check on me or do anything like that. And I don't know about you, but if you ever had a gun shot so close to you and you didn't know it, it is scary. Wouldn't recommend it. And then moving forward from that party, the next day, actually, he tells me that he loves me. 2 weeks of dating, which is another and second huge red flag. Like, we're dating for 2 weeks. I don't say it back because, well, I've only known a man for like a little over 2 weeks at this point. So I was like, I'm not gonna tell you that I love you. It's too early for that. He says it. I'm like, oh. And I believe it foolishly. Like, I foolishly believe this man that he loves me. But in reality, he didn't. So moving forward, he drops me off. But before that night, I want McDonald's before I go home, right? So we drive through the McDonald's lane, and this just happens to be the Father's Day weekend. And he looked older than me, I want to say. He definitely looked older than me. And the girl that was serving the McDonald's said, looked at my ex and said, "Happy Father's Day." I think I was a daughter and he was my dad. My ex was like mortified and embarrassed. I just found it funny. I still laugh about it because it's very funny to me. I don't know. It's just funny. He was mortified about that. I just found it funny, and he was so embarrassed. He's like, I'm like, it's funny. And he just did not find it funny. Like, it kind of got annoyed with me for laughing at it. I'm like, it's funny. Anyway, so he drops me off at the house, and throughout this week, and then the days leading up to the second weekend, third weekend we're together, and during the week I noticed he was being a bit distant, which I'm like, maybe it's feelings from previous, what if he's being serious, whatever. I'm trying to rationalize in my mind, obviously. There's no rationalizing it because he's a cheater, obviously, later on. So I spend the night, this is Friday, we spend the day together, we're fine. He talks to me about his ex a little bit, red flag. And then he tells me on a Friday night, a little after 11 p.m., or a little close to 11 p.m., he tells me, my friend needs help with their car. I'm gonna go help him. I said, okay, bring me back some mini M&Ms. He's like, okay, I'll do that. So I go on, and he goes on, right? Like, he goes on to help his friend with the car problems because he's a mechanic, whatever. He didn't come back until like a little after 12 a.m. And I tried calling him, texting him after about 40, 30 minutes, no answer at all, like zip, 0. And I was crazy. I checked his location on Snap, and it was at some random thing, like parking lot thing. I'm like, oh, maybe that's where his friends parked. Rationalizing it, trying to rationalize it, of like, whatever. And I have a feeling in my chest something's wrong. Like, I have this feeling I can't explain. I have this really bad feeling. And and then he comes back sad, and I'm like, oh, hey. And he figures, he's like, yeah. And he's just kind of sad and whatnot. Anyways, the next day, we were just hanging out with his family, and I noticed he gets a phone call, and he walks kind of outside. And then I walk outside, like, after, like, 15 minutes. And I ask him, is everything okay? And he's like, my ex says she's pregnant. I'm like, when's the last time that you guys, did anything? And he said, a few weeks ago, about a month ago. I'm like, okay. Obviously, that's a lie now, but... So I'm like, all right, whatever. And he says, I need to take you home right now because we need to figure this out. I'm like, fine, fair, whatever. And, like, he's sad and kind of stressed out at the same time. So I'm like, oh, I'm sure he'll tell me about it later. Anyway, so I go to therapy, the next therapy. Then I go on the way home from therapy. Ironically, I open up my Instagram DMs and I see a message. It was a hey girly message, but it was more, not hey girly, but straightforward. And his ex basically told me that he came over to pick her up and they had sex. She knew I was there, and he told her that, and he just said that he missed her and he loved her and all of this fun stuff, right? Okay. And then now I'm calling him viciously. I'm like, what is going on? He refused to answer my calls or texts. I call multiple times and I get blocked. I'm like, whatever. He's like, talk to her. We're gonna name her Ashley. Talk to Ashley. Talk to Ashley. Talk to Ashley. Ashley will answer all the questions. I'm like, whatever. So Ashley calls me and I'm like, I have asked her these questions like, what the fuck happened last night? What happened last night? And she tells me, and he confirms this. And she said that he texted her and picked her up. And during this, they hooked up, and then she texted me right after he dropped her off. And during this phone call, she mentioned something about a party week earlier with him and another girl. I'm like, wait, hold up. And I asked her, wait, did he tell you this too? And he's like, oh, you didn't know? I'm like, no, it's the first time I'm hearing about this. Well, it turns out the week prior to this, during the school day, there was a party, and there was a girl invited that he had a past thing with, and they were kind of hookup buddies. Did he tell me this? Of course not. And because I remember blowing up his phone, being like, is this true? Is this true? And he's like, yes, this is true. And he ends up telling his ex that he cheated on me with, that he cheated on me a week before with this previous girl. Okay, all right. So I'm pissed off. I'm like blowing off. I'm like, he is whatever. I'm furious. All I'm thinking, and I was like, oh my God. So I'm furious, right? Like I find out from his ex that he went out, texted his ex while I was at his house and cheated out on me. And then I find out that he told his ex that not only did he cheat on me once, but apparently a week prior. Tells her, but not me. Like, what? All right, okay. So moving forward, I'm like, oh God. Now, this is not the end of the story. I wish it was. And then and then they get back together eventually. I'm like, whatever. Rotation, and I rose to rotation. 3 or 4 months later, this man comes back and he's like, I'm sorry about everything, yada yada. Just want to be friends. And stupidly, I'm like, you know what? Let's just be friends, right? Whatever. I'm thinking, we'll just be friends. It's fine. Like, I don't care. He's an asshole. But no, I was just really still sad at this point, and because I was cheated on at this point. It's one of the worst feelings ever. Anyway, I'm gonna keep it short, but and then he gets back together with his ex again, because apparently they broke up, then got back together. I'm like, okay, great, leave me alone. And then about 3 months later, he comes back, and I'm like, I don't want you in my life. And then January, actually, of this year, I told him, like, leave me alone. You're an asshole. I want nothing to do with you. Leave me alone. And it took him 2-3 times, but he left me alone. I've not heard a word from him since January, thank God. I do not know about the situation with his ex, but I've got a few messages from her from different periods of time between those 3 or 4 months. So, yeah. Anyways, that's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give this video a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you guys next time.